been 5 months since you went away.
As again the facade of flags flies, we arrogantly think we're wise to cut Iraq down to size, to snatch the young men from our lives. Yet a neglected vet slowly dies, watching people not slow their steps as they walk around him, approaching the SF Army Recruitment Center. Poetry overall is a really good thing, I think. It's really important for self-expression. It's really stimulating for your brain. I think it's something, I feel, is like cleaning out my brain to write poetry. It just keeps my brain healthy. Keeps me sane when I'm stressed out. I sort of have 2 separate journals now because I like to write about just people that I see and observe different things in the Bay Area and write about them. So I have one journal that I write in when I'm, on BART or on a bus or whatever. I have my transportation journal, sort of, and then I have the journal that I write in at home, which is generally a lot more introspective. I write poetry about my family, about what's going on with my friends. I write political stuff. Whatever's going through my head at the time, I try to get it out on paper. February 20th, 2002. CNN reports of new tragedies every day, and as a young Asian woman talks seriously of sad events in the Middle East, my mom tells me with tears in her eyes that she crossed the border into Bethlehem after the War of 1967. She always thought of Israel as a center of civilization, and now there are gunmen in the Church of Nativity, suicide bombers in the temples, and Sharon's tanks rumbling, groaning, rolling over dead people in the streets. She stayed with a kind Arab family who never knew she was a Jew and never asked, who offered her new shoes because she couldn't afford to replace her own tattered tennies. Mom, what do you think happened to them? Anna doesn't know when she asks the tough questions, and Mom sighs a distant, worried sigh and begins picking at her thumbnail. She knows. And she knows the past. Oh, they were just so nice to me. And that country is just tearing itself apart. I look out the window at the beautiful mountains and calm white suburban houses. Here in Utah, everything is fine. And we joke about how peace should be brought about and which side should have to live on the moon as sunlight streams through the window of Grandma's house. But it's not that funny. And Bush won't even try to help as innocent people die every day for their one true religion. So I wonder, as I sit on a floral print couch on a perfect day in Utah. A bloody war ravages the night in Israel, and the streets are stained red, and the people scream for help, but there is none. Whose God is it that lets this happen? So I turn my attention to the cool, slick pages of my history book and read about how Roosevelt saved our country in the American pageant. And Mom and Dad discuss with frustration what a moron Bush is, and I can't sit here and read about how wonderful the U.S. is for my homework, so I write this poem. Because a disturbed country tears itself apart, and we watch it through our televisions and joke about what should be done. And again, I gaze out the window at the beautiful sky, and I feel guilty because of how it makes me happy, feeling free. If it's political, I'm hoping people will agree with me, or if they didn't agree with me, I'm hoping to change some minds, because I think if you're writing political poetry, it's for a progressive purpose, and you want to have some influence on the people who hear it. More introspective poetry is written a lot more for myself, just to figure out what's going on in my head, try and get it out of the way so it doesn't, it's not running around in circles and they're driving me crazy. A lot of my friends' poetry, I'm really inspired by my friends because I think a lot of my friends are really talented. I go to poetry slams and I get inspired and I come home and write for an hour. Almost anything inspires me. I'll probably keep writing for the rest of my life. I just think it's something I need to do. Writing poetry has almost become a way of life for me. It's sort of a coping mechanism for when I'm stressed, and it really helps me get my ideas out. I'm definitely going to keep writing and performing as long as I can because I really like it. I kind of want to be a teacher just because I think I really want to, when I die, I want to know I've made a difference in the world, and I think teachers can do that. So I don't think just because you're not a quote-unquote professional poet, somebody who is doing only poetry, doesn't mean you're a poet, I think I know plenty of people who are poets and also teachers, or poets and also some other profession. So I think I'd probably be happy doing more than one thing anyway, just keep variety in my life. And swiftly passing in his jaded, faded eyes is a cry of desperate alarm at how many kids the government's charmed. And anywhere you could see a son kissing his mama proudly. With tears you hold your son once more, though he's never held a gun before. Gently behind him he shuts the door and gallantly marches off to war.
doing this for all my ladies. I know you thinking, yo, it sound like a lullaby, right? But this is for you. Get into it.